Thank you, and thank you both. And I think we're closing in on it here. I wanted to get this question on the record to you, Ms. Mallory, because it's an issue that's important to all of us. Certainly, the deployment of broadband in this country is woefully behind. In this pandemic, we see how much that's affecting students, healthcare, ability to telecommute, and all kinds of things. So, there is a working group at the FCC, the Broadband Deployment Advisory Committee, that is recommending that agencies finalize categorical exclusions that exempt broadband projects from the NEPA process. As a matter of fact, in 2010, the Obama administration CEQ noted that, quote, appropriate reliance on categorical exclusions provides a reasonable, proportionate, and effective analysis for many proposed actions, helping agencies reduce their paperwork. So we need to deploy this as quickly as possible. I guess what I'm asking you, would you look at this issue of categorical exclusions that I think, as we've pumped a lot of money into broadband deployment, but if we get it hung up into all kinds of permitting, we're going to end up elongating it and making those projects more expensive. So I'd just like to have your opinion on this, or at least some assurances that this is something you'll take.
Thank you, Senator. Absolutely. If I'm confirmed, I would look into and be briefed on the issue of broadband categorical exclusions.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to talk about environmental justice, and I know that Ms. McCabe and I talked about it on our Zoom. I'm not sure that we did, and it's been touched on. You can see with the job loss issue. So, as I think of environmental justice and understanding that it's somebody living next to a polluted area, can't move, they don't have the wherewithal or the money to be able to change that or clean it up or all those kinds of things. But I also think that with joblessness comes an expanded environmental hazard. When you have people who have depression or opioid addictions or joblessness or hopelessness, you end up, the environment surrounding those types of, those folks, those homes and those communities, I think can be just as damaging to our environment in some ways as maybe a factory or a power plant or some other kind of, where you can directly say that's an environmental hazard. So I guess what I'm asking you, do you agree with what I'm saying in terms of the joblessness issue? Does environmental justice encompass those kinds of concepts that I'm putting forward? Just help me understand your perspective on that. And we'll start with you, Ms. McCabe.
Thank you, Senator. Any job loss is a terrible thing, and I agree with you that we have communities across this country that are suffering greatly, and the pandemic is just making it worse. So, so you have my total agreement there, and I think we need to pay attention to all of these issues. I think that President Biden has reflected in his executive orders that paying attention to communities that are affected by the transition to a more climate-safe world is those impacts are real, and that the government needs to be paying attention to those. So I do agree with you that we have to pay attention to these issues.
Yeah, Ms. Mallory.
Yes, Ms. Capito, and I guess what I would say is I definitely agree that those are problems that need attention and that we are prioritizing in terms of thinking about the broader agenda. Whether they always fall under a category of environmental justice, I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter because I think they are priorities that I think that we need to figure out ways to address.
Well, in ways it does matter because there's a great emphasis on this administration on environmental justice and equity. And that's a lot of the words that are used. As a matter of fact, this COVID bill has for some reason, some money in there for environmental justice. I don't agree with that being exactly COVID related, but that's a whole different topic. So I think it does matter because we're going to put a lot of resources into this, meaning federal dollars. And I know there have been some promises in some of the executive orders that, 40% of whatever the benefits would be from green energy is going to go back into the communities. But you can hear the skepticism of the states that have been impacted before. And, some of us kind of feel like it's sort of a little pat on the head and, you're going to be okay. And I'm glad to hear you talk about transitions because we didn't really have a transition, I don't think, under the Obama administration. We lost thousands of jobs and really shuttered a lot of our communities. Last question is, you have Gina McCarthy as the climate czar and John Kerry as another climate czar. Then Ms. Mallory at CEQ, and then you and Michael Regan at EPA. How does this all fit together? And who's the lead here? And I don't know if you've had these discussions with Gina McCarthy or the president himself as to who's going to be the lead on environmental policies and whose voices should we be listening to? So, or is it going to be one coordinated voice? But who's going to be the one who's going to be the spokesperson, I guess is my question. I asked Michael Regan the same thing. So if you have a quick response, or I could add that to a written question. Ms. Mallory, why don't we start
I was
with
just
you?
going to say, the way that I see the issue is that there is a coordination activity that's occurring around climate change that the new White House positions are helping to orchestrate, with every agency and every other part of the administration kind of bringing to bear the expertise that their organizations offer. So CEQ will be working around these issues in partnership with Gina and others in the White House that are designed to actually have us all end up with the president's agenda being met.
Ms. McCabe?
Well, I haven't had any conversations with Gina or anybody else other than Secretary Regan, and he made clear to you that he will be making the decisions at EPA accountable to the president and carrying out EPA's responsibilities, and that will be my experience as well, if confirmed.
Yeah, I think that's what we'd like to see. I mean, it's certainly from my perspective, because I think the more transparency that we have, more accountability, we can ask the right questions and you can give us the right information for us to be able to react. Thank you both for being here today. Thank you.